All right. What is up? It is Cowboy 8:30 AM EST, Friday, April the 5th, and we are doing our live lab. And this is going to be the last 30 minutes long live lab. We have given everybody free access for long enough for that amount of time. Now, we're going to still do live labs, but it's going to be probably about 10-minute long live labs. That's what we're looking at, moving forward. And then once those, live public beginner live labs are over after 10 minutes, we flip over to our private group. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But we do have Z Gorilla, who is here with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I am the World Economic Forum Gorilla. You will eat the bugs, and you will have nothing, and you will be happy.
So you will eat the bugs, and you will be happy.
Yeah. Yes, mach schnell.
Mach schnell.
Yes.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
I'm doing quite swimming this morning, quite swimmingly.
Swimmingly, yes, that's good.
I'm very swimming. Everybody's swimming around me.
We must have had some pretty notable data come out here on unemployment that was...
Yeah, the economy is booming, bro. It's like doing so well. I mean, Joe Biden is, CNBC was right. Joe Biden is correct. The economy is stronger than ever. We fully recovered from the 2008 collapse. Everything is good, man. We got nothing to worry about. There's no issues.
Well, I see what it is here. All the unemployment data came back, and we're just looking great, man. Let's throw it up on the screen. Give me a second here.
Yes. Watch them
revive. Free is my favorite color, says Opus Minimus. Yeah, I was telling everybody as I bring things up on the screen, I was talking about the change in format where we've been doing this for about a year now, and for about 6 months of that year, we have been doing 30-minute free to the public live labs, and we have definitely shared a lot of great stuff, but we're going to start changing that to 10-minute live labs.
Correct.
It's going to happen on Moon Day. But of course, the rest of the info, the greater, larger, more secret, more in-depth info is still available over at Algo Factory. Scan the QR code. But in the meantime, we're here we are. We got the non-farm employment change, which is about 50% better than expected. That's huge because look at the euro versus the dollar here. Let me move my trading panel off screen, and then we can take a better look at things. Sorry about that. Let's see here. So we'll go EUR USD, and then we'll zoom in just a bit. Now you're looking at a high time frame chart there. So let's jump down to a time frame we can actually see things on. Let's say the 5-minute. So when I pop this up, what you're going to see is a chart where every one of these candles is 5 minutes.
Right.
Wow, look at that. That is pretty
at
big candle. Yeah, that's pretty big. So what this means right here is that the data that just came out showing the unemployment claims, I should say that the non-farm employment change being so strong, that is going to make the dollar stronger, right? That's interesting. It's an interesting look, and we're going to talk about the ramifications of that. We got March in the house, Mab Vet in the house. Good to see you both as always. Yeah, March brought an interesting coin to the chat yesterday.
What coin?
Athena.
Oh, you're right, Athena.
Well, I did a whole.
I remember.
I did a whole episode on it. If I were you, I'd watch that episode. It's
a goddess coin.
What's that?
It's a coin of a goddess.
Athena, not Athena.
Like Ethereum. I got it. Yes,
right.
It's so vividly fresh in my head, Cowboy.
Right. Well, it's an interesting coin. It's backed by all the big exchanges and Arthur Hayes, who basically is or was BitMEX, and it's a big deal. So
what is it for? What does it do?
It's a bond.
Bond.
It's a stable coin that is unaffected by the banking system.
Oh, crikey. I really am interested at this point now.
Yeah, so look like Tether, right? Like really, Tether does rely on traditional banking still.
Yes, it does.
If there was a problem with Tether, it could get shut down. That still is possible. It hasn't happened.
Yes, it can.
There has been some issues with Tether, but they've always been able to come out of it. They basically had some of their money stolen by, governments and whatnot. But in the end, Tether could be a problem, right? So they've developed this stable coin that is based not on that. It's based on digital assets. And what they do is they fund themselves. Well, actually, if you really want to know how this coin is and why I like it and why I'm probably going to grab some, watch the show. Go to the YouTube, watch this.
And where do you was one? Okay, where do you get Athena?
Let's take a look at that.
Athena.
At least we can take a look at that
Yes.
before we take a look at the markets.
Why am I talking in this accent? I don't know.
I don't
know.
Okay, it's almost like it's a what do you call it? Like a cut glass accent. You know,
It is a cut glass accent.
When they tried to unite people in the transatlantic sense about 100 years ago, they created this accent that really didn't exist, and it was called cut glass. Is what I refer back. It's a very old way of sounding. Old.
I like it. Sounds proper and. I go upstairs and call my wife Muffy for some reason.
Muffy.
This urge to call her Muffy.
No, it's a very specific. Like you would hear cut glass in American and British.
And she would use cut glass on my neck if I do that.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Let's go to Coin Market Cap. I know Coin Market. Everybody keeps saying it's like Coin Market Cap is like a scam or something. I don't even know what that's about.
I don't know how they're scamming you. I have no idea.
Well, they might be pushing coins that are like not necessarily needing to be pushed. I don't know. Somebody, if anybody in the chat wants to tell me how CoinMarketCap is a scam, I'd love to hear about it. I don't know. I think everything is a scam. So here it is, Athena. Right now, of course, it's gone down, and I didn't buy any yet. I was waiting for it to head down. But where can you get Athena? You can get it on Binance, Gate, Bybit, HTX, KuCoin, BitGet, MexC. It's on MexC, which is where I buy things. BingX, you can get it on BingX. You can get pretty much anywhere. Yep. But what makes it really interesting is something you can find out by watching yesterday's video. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. So looking at this, I bet you Bitcoin had a similar reaction. But look, this right here is dollar. That's what that means. So this is the euro versus the dollar on the 5-minute chart. EURUSD, right? So let's explain this because we have some people who really are interested in the basics. And this was kind of supposed to be the beginner live lab. And so let's go ahead and talk about some beginner stuff. Now, this could be anything, right? This could be whatever, Tesla, right? This could be Bitcoin. Right now, Tesla doesn't say Tesla USD, but in fact it is because everything is against the US dollar, right? So any stock is going to operate the same in what I'm about to explain. So if the euro goes up, then the whole chart goes up, right? So if you're looking at the EURUSD chart, and I go through this about once every couple of months on the beginner live lab because there's people who just need this basics, right? So if the euro gets stronger, the chart goes up, right? And the same is going to be for the Tesla. If Tesla gets stronger, I mean, this is super everybody knows this, right? I'm not saying anything that even the basic people don't understand.
No, we understand what you're saying.
We understand that. But here's the thing. These things are measured against each other, right? So if the dollar gets weaker, then technically these other things will go up because it's a comparison. So if the dollar gets weaker, then the euro chart will go up, right?
Right.
So it'll appear to go. Now, it's not that the euro is necessarily getting any stronger in like a, in a reality sense. It's not, you're not buying more gold, or you're not really buying necessarily more whatever homes with the euro, anything like that. All that's happened is that the dollar got weaker in comparison to the euro. So the euro versus the dollar chart goes, or let me re-say that. The dollar got weaker compared to the euro. So the chart will go up. All right. So it's not that the euro changed at all. It's that the dollar got weaker. And that's going to happen with Tesla, Bitcoin, whatever, you name it.
Any one of them, Cowboy. Any one of them. Correct.
Any one of them, right?
Right.
So here's the other way about it, though. If the dollar were to get stronger, it's not that the euro is getting any weaker. It's just that the dollar got stronger. So the euro chart goes down, right? Which is what we're literally seeing right now. So the non-farm payroll data came out, as we're seeing on the screen now. And you can see the expected number was 212,000 jobs added, and it's actually 303 jobs added. So this is roughly 45% higher. This is a very big gap between the expected number and the actual number, right? So the charts were moving along as if it were, as if it was going to be 212,000 jobs added, but the surprise number of 303 jobs added went ahead and made the dollar get stronger because that is the appearance of a much stronger economy. Also, the unemployment rate was just a hair under what was expected. This probably didn't have much of an effect on the chart because it's basically at expectation, but this is why we're seeing a dramatic move in the short term. Now, here's the thing about it, though. V, tell me. Well, yeah. So Cuba's ahead of, Cuba's going where we're going right now, right?
Right.
So, but here's the thing. Maybe those numbers are not true, but the market is going to act as if they are.
Correct.
So we're not interested, like when we're trading, we're not interested in reality. We're interested in perception, right?
Correct. Perception is reality, folks. The reality of finance.
But to Cube's credit, it does eventually catch up to you. Yes, doesn't it?
It eventually does catch up to you because now the world has woken up to the fact that you are a phony baloney, as the Americans would say.
Phony baloney dollar, phony baloney. Well, I mean, the dollar's, the dollar works.
You're as real as a tofu tikka, my friend, a tofu tikka.
I'll tell you what, it is perception. Reality is perception, even still. I mean, we've been using a dollar that's backed by nothing for how long?
Forever.
It's just, it's backed by the future tax receipts of Americans. It's backed
by the full might and power of the military. Yeah, whatever that's worth.
Well, I mean,
you saw the article that I posted in our road group, right?
I couldn't. It's a paywall. I don't have a subscription.
Well, the U.S. just admitted there's no military solution to.
I think so. The Biden administration admitted that, right?
Oh yeah, their Pentagon admitted too because they can't get in there. They Houthis via proxy. And we sent in quote unquote contractors to fight the Houthis back when the Saudis were fighting them. And we dumped tens of billions into trying to get rid of the Houthis so we can secure Yemen's oil reserves. And we failed miserably. Mm-hmm. They don't want that smoke, bro.
No, they tried to Ukraine fight against the Houthis, except the Saudis were, not going against a major threat. But the Saudis couldn't do anything about the Houthis, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the Saudis went full force against the Houthis, and there was, I think, a couple of countries joining that coalition. I mean, 10 or 12 countries were a part of that coalition, if I remember correctly. And the U.S., sent special operations forces in there. We had SEALs get killed. There were Green Beret that were involved. Those guys got smoked. People don't realize military technology and military force and military tactics have been democratized globally. It's not 50 years ago where you have a monopoly on force and tactics and whatnot. Those days are over.
Well, it's just, I mean, if you look at it this way, like the way that we fought wars 50 years ago, everything evolves. So if you're going to make your decisions based on 50-year-old data, you're going to get what you get. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the whole thing is, in reality, is the style of warfare that the United States fights is similar to the rest of the Western world, which is a what is it? It's a colonial style of fighting, which doesn't work in the modern world, man.
Well, look, that's the same reason that the U.S. won the revolution in 1770s.
Correct.
The Brits came and they had that old fighting that you see on TV where everybody lines up on either side of a field and then they shoot at each other and then the next line of guys shoots and
I say, old boy, that's exactly how real gentlemen would settle the scores. We face each other and shoot at each other's faces like Dick Cheney shooting at a bird.
Right, except you hit.
Don't move. There's a bird on your face.
Yeah, there was a bird on his face. What can I do? We're hunting here.
Never go hunting with Dick Cheney. Thankfully, he's dead.
Yeah, well, thankfully for the buddies who are hunting with him anyway. Stunning. The Biden administration is waving the white flag on Red Sea crisis. So basically, what they're saying here, and again, I can't. I don't have access to.
I would get in there.
You go. Okay, let me unshare. You could jump in there.
I will get in there because.
And what we'll do is, since this is a trading channel, what we'll do is we'll take a look at how this can affect markets, and in particular, how it will affect oil, or how it might affect oil. We got to actually consider what that means. If the U.S. is going to back off.
This just in. Denmark just sacked. They just fired their defense chief as the Red Sea failures pile up for NATO.
I saw that. They had according to that article that you're talking about, their air defense systems were not working for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Dude, the West is a joke.
How is it that
this is what happens when you have poorly educated people for the last 30 years, this is what you get. You get bullshit. When you gut your economy, you gut your manufacturing, you can't compete, man. You can't compete.
Well, it seems as if our our military's got to be like fielding and trying new weapons in Ukraine.
No.
I'm sure that's a big part of
it. Is, but it's all bullshit. It's all like gimmickry and hype. It doesn't really work. You can't really field them very well. It's like the bloody F-35 and everything else that we make. Is there some things here and there? Yeah, I'm sure there's some things here and there, but it's not nothing to change the
greater landscape.
Yeah, the trajectory of warfare. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing: the United States has fallen into this belief of sci-fi, right? They believe in wonder weapons that are going to change the tide of war. And guys like McGregor and Ritter and all these other guys have said it over and over again. And Martinov says it best as well. Warfare is dirty, it is terrible, it is miserable, and it's unpredictable, and it's always won by men on the ground. That has not changed, and that will not change for a very, 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 very long time.
I think McGregor said it. He said that if you just simply like want to, do air attacks where you're sending in like missiles or long range stuff, that it's going to be the same when you're done as when you started. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to zoom in on that a little bit.
Yeah, stunning. The Biden administration's waving the white flag on the Red Sea crisis. In a remarkable development about face, the Biden administration has effectively waved the white flag in the face of constant Houthi attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea, attacks which also have involved the direct targeting of U.S., UK, and Western warships. Since the attacks had begun last year to punish Israel and dozens of offensive U.S. strikes on Houthi positions later, the Iran-backed group has pressed and untethered, and the Operation Prosperity Guardian coalition has no solution. Shipping through the vital waterway has collapsed. Suez fees have dried up for Egypt, and Israel's ports sit largely empty. But now the U.S. or the White House is mulling removal of Yemen's Ansarullah movement, the Houthis, from the U.S. list of designated terror organizations. Should the Shia rebel group agree to hold attacks, the current international headlines strongly point to the Houthis have won in a direct months-long standoff with, quote-unquote, the most powerful military in the world. You know how many countries? On Wednesday, Biden's special envoy to Yemen told reporters that the U.S. sees no military solution, quote-unquote, for the Red Sea crisis, which is in a stunning and belated admission. We favor, quote-unquote, a diplomatic solution. We know that there is no military solution. We favor... When did the U.S. last say we favor a diplomatic solution?
Well, not openly. That's all they've been able to do since, I don't know, when's the last time we won anything. I know Iraq, like we had that early victory in the early 90s, and then that was like pretty much got turned around within a decade, and then we went back in, and then all the work we did over there got turned around pretty quick. Are they kicking the U.S. out of Iraq as we speak?
Yeah, that's happening as we speak.
Yeah.
We're the most wanted military force in the world. We're the largest economy in the world. We're everything is awesome. It's exceptional, Stan, baby.
Yeah, it's a shame because a lot of people have to die.
That's stunning. This is the U.S. essentially admitting that they can't prevail militarily with the Houthis and are therefore suing for peace. Hard not to see this like a Suez crisis moment for America. Stop using my terms, people. Jesus. The Suez moment. That's exactly this is another Suez. America's getting multiple Suez moments, man.
America is just one big Suez moment right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you, the biggest mistake that was made, the biggest mistake in recent history, there's been many, and Cool Cat, I want to get to his comment as well there, but the biggest mistake made was seizing the Russian Forex reserves.
Yeah, it was stupid, man.
That literally ramped up the exodus from the dollar.
Yeah.
That was just, that was a move that look, first of all, the sanctions didn't work. Like Russia, yeah, I'm sure it hurt them in a way, but now Russia has stopped buying U.S. parts, and now they're just replacing all the parts with Chinese parts, and now their manufacturing continues. And it continues.
It barely hurt them, and any sort of pinch they felt was for a moment. You know how many sanctions the Russians beat? Do you know the actual number?
I'd say they beat all of them. I don't know.
16,000 sanctions were beaten by the Russians.
I mean, just by trading around them, or what do you mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
By trading around it, by number one, trading. Number two, finding a homegrown solution for it. Number three, setting up alternative trade mechanisms. and payment mechanisms, dude, 16,000 sanctions were beaten by the Russians. 16,000.
Here's the thing. Like, this is what people seem to not put in their minds. The manufacturing power of the world is China, and it has been for some time. And China is also the main trading partner of the US. And China is backing Russia. So when the US sanctions Russia, look, the US, I mean, sure, we make some things. We don't not manufacture, but China's a far better country at manufacturing than we are. And they have a large border with Russia. I mean, dude, it's not going to be that hard to replace whatever we were selling them. And that's just for those kind of sanctions, right? And then what were they doing? They were selling oil through like Turkey or something, or India. I mean, it seemed, oh, dude, I don't know, bro. And then we what do you call it? Then we confiscate their FX reserves, which pretty much sent the shot across the bow to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
The dollar was supposed to be sacrosanct. Everybody was supposed to be able to use the dollar in international trade, despite whatever was going on politically. And so I guess we did take Iran's at one point, but like they're all, it's just Iran, who cares, right? I mean, when we confiscated $500 billion of Russia's money, that didn't go over well. The rest of the world was like, oh shit.
Even our quote unquote allies were like, we're probably next. Because remember that saying by Kissinger, it's a dangerous thing to be an enemy of the United States. It's a deadly thing to be an ally of the United States.
Right? Yeah, dude. And that's Kissinger saying.
Yeah, I mean, America wrote the book How to Lose Friends and Alienate People.
Seriously, dude. That's
the United States, by Uncle Sam.
I'd laugh if that was like not true. I'd laugh, but unfortunately, it's just
a forward by Adolf Hitler.
Dude, I mean, that's people don't understand. I'd say Matthew Eric does a great
he does the best
treatment
job
of that.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Yeah, and Cool Cat's talking about some stuff here. Says what happens when industry leaves a city or region? You get New Jack Gotham City. So we've got the U.S. with industry leaving a lot of regions, but I know Baltimore is taking a massive hit. I saw a video yesterday of this guy came into a barbershop and he shot up some guy that was getting his haircut, like in Baltimore, just like broad daylight, and he had been in 2 other shootings. Like, dude.
Was that a cultural exchange, or was he just like out for blood, or was this vindictive, or just
I don't know,
random cult? Because I like to call these things random cultural exchanges.
I think that there might have been some cultural enrichment involved. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know, bro. But I can tell you that you have dude. I think what will eventually happen in the U.S. is that the manufacturing will have to come back. Like, otherwise the country dies. Like, there's plenty of stuff being made here. We make cars, we make computer chips. It's not like we don't make anything. We're just generation or 2 behind what China's doing. So our manufacturing
let me get a little granular with what you just said.
Go for it.
We don't make cars here. We don't. We assemble cars here. There's a difference.
We don't make any of the parts?
No.
We don't make the engines?
Well, the engines are all assembled by parts that are milled and machined elsewhere and then put together and slapped together. There's only a few foundries that actually do engine blocks, and they're too small. For mass market and mass applications, those foundries and engines, the foundries and whatnot are all made overseas, and they're all, and then brought inwards. So we don't have any foundries that create blocks, really. It's very few engine. Like, for instance, for specialty products, like you'll see GM do it, right, for their hand-built. Like, look at the new Corvette, the C8 Z06 has a hand-built motor that's a very unique, low production volume engine. That's hand-built and hand-assembled in the United States. But for the mass market stuff, like your Chevy Malibus and all this other stuff, the LS pickup trucks and all, those blocks, they're all like cast on foundries that are overseas, either Mexico, China, and God knows where else, even in Canada too.
I think part of the issue,
we assemble cars here.
We're not. We went away from protectionism, like we talked about yesterday, right? So until we're willing to, and I think that once you go away from protectionism, it can be kind of hard to get your manufacturing back. That's just the way it seems, because your manufacturing process is too expensive, and you don't have the buying power that you used to have, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think what's going to happen is we'll rotate out of the current situation, and we'll probably go to a certain system that V talked about last week in the drips. And where we can't talk about that here because V basically, you had a conversation with some pretty important people, as you do pretty much on a daily. So we got some clues as to what the next 5-10 years might look like.
Yeah.
And, but I think once we kind of get through that, there's a chance if the right people are in charge, right? Or at least if the wrong people are no longer in charge, right? We might have a chance at rebuilding, but I think that retool could take 1 or 2 decades. I think that we're going to be in sort of a, did you watch that movie Looper?
Yeah.
I love that movie. I like that director, although he pretty much screwed.
Who directed it?
Rian Johnson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He messed up the Star Wars. He went full left hard. But besides that, he makes really good movies. He's a great director. There's a movie called Brick that he did. Really recommend that one. Anyway, the point here, though, is that in that movie, it's like maybe, I don't know, 30 years into the future or something. And you get this kind of dystopian like US landscape where it's just like it's like the entire economy has rotted. I mean, there is new tech and everything, but pretty much everybody's poor. Like women are selling their bodies. I mean, kind of like OnlyFans, except not just OnlyFans. Like it's more, like they're just selling their bodies in real life. It's very much like Great Depression is what it feels like, except there's like some higher tech. And I think we're going to go through that. Like, I think we're going to go through a period of time where we're in a high tech Great Depression, very Blade Runner, very dystopic. But there's, we're going to have to come to a point where we start making things again. Right. And if we don't, I don't know what to tell you, man. Then
And you know what? Here's the shocking truth: we just simply can't make things.
We have guys with the knowledge. Like we have a lot of old heads that know how to make shit, but they're getting really old.
They're getting really old. How many old heads how many old heads do you think are out there to revitalize an industry? Number one. Number two, you got to gear the industry up, right? So you got to have the rudiments, the fundamentals, and the basics that the old heads knew from back when they were doing it. Yeah. But you got to gear it up to the 22nd century, which we don't have.
2 decades, bro.
Exactly. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Right. So here's the other thing. So that when we lose an industry, that knowledge is gone with it. It's over. It's over. So in other words, in order for us to reindustrialize, guess who we need to be working with?
Scientists in other countries.
Yes. Chinese, Russians. That's how we do it. Germans. That's how we do it. Otherwise, we can't reindustrialize. This is what people realize. We don't simply, bring it back. No,
well, I mean, I don't know. I think there are some options there. I think that's a deeper talk. I think we have so much knowledge, as long as we were willing to, and we still have enough money sloshing around the U.S., right? Like we could reindustrialize.
What if that money sloshing around the U.S. is completely devalued 60%?
It could still be. It could be done.
It's hyperinflated 1,200%. Then what?
Well, we already know what that looks like. We talked about it last week. But I think that, look, here's the reality. And this is the reality, period. Money is just a figment of your imagination. I mean, we all trust it. We all use it. But fiat currency is just fiat currency. And when you can print endless amounts of it, you can. I think the U.S., if they really wanted to, if we got rid of the Davos crowd and their influence, we could retool. It would take some time. But
it would take time and help. We can't do it ourselves. Is the point. That's the whole.
See, I disagree.
No, we can't do it ourselves. Impossible. Sorry, can't do it. Can't do it.
Well, what's stopping?
I'll tell you why. Number one, we don't have. I'll give you a perfect example. Right, this is a perfect real-time example. The chip manufacturing plant in Arizona, which should have been open like 5 years ago, right, or 3 years ago, right? It's not going to be open until God knows when. Right. This is from TSMC. Okay. TSMC was supposed to get a chip manufacturing plant up and open and running in Arizona. It didn't happen, can't happen, right? Then they realized that the Americans that they hired to help run the factory are so poorly educated that this is what they're going to do. Now the TSMC says, you know what, instead of selling next generation chips, we're going to be selling chips that are 3 generations back, right? So they can sell it to old iPhone, 12 and 13 models, right? That level of chipset, right? 3 generations back, right? Then they realized that even if they do 3 generations back chipsets that they thought the Americans could do, right? They still can't do it. So what they had to do is they had to take the chips, fly it back to Taiwan, have the Taiwanese refinish the chips and finish the manufacturing, send it back, and allow the Americans to package it up and send it over here. In other words, that entire cost doubled the cost of the chip. We cannot. This is not about. Look, hold on. This is not about making leather goods, clothing, belts, shoes, rubber products. I'm talking about high-level manufacturing. We cannot, as a country, do high-level manufacturing. Doesn't exist. This is the reason why there's no American watch companies. Why is that? Those foundries that do very high precision work are gone, and the knowledge of it is completely gone as well, right? This is also the reason why there are certain componentry. Like people ask, well, how come Americans don't make hypercars, right? We can't, because the technology is not nascent to us. There's nobody here that has the expertise to do so. Secondly, in terms of chip manufacturing, again, we're talking about real manufacturing in them that makes a real difference. Not toothbrushes, combs, leather belts, and pants, right? Real manufacturing. So lathing computers, right, that you need to make chips. We don't make any of that. We don't even know how to do it. We don't even know where to begin. We have nobody who's even educated in any of our school systems to do so. This is the thing. When you want to get granular to it, and I can go on and on and on and on and on.
Before you do, the question I have is, China 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they started out making leather goods, fingernail clippers, shit like that. Look where they are now.
Right. But here's the difference. They're a culture in one accord, with one mission, with one vision, with a huge emphasis on education. Now, if we embrace those ideals, then I agree with you, we come back.
So but we just couldn't embrace them? Like, we can't fix that?
If that's a cultural shift. If we have a cultural shift, then we can be successful. But if we have that cultural shift, and I think there's a potentiality we can do it. If we do not have that cultural shift, then no. But also understand, just like China needed the help from us when they were getting going, and needed the help from the Western world to bootstrap an industry together, we're going to need them to bootstrap some industry so we can get up off the ground. That's what I'm saying. And then have the cultural shift. So it's a lot more monumental than saying, oh yeah, we can do it. No, we can't. It doesn't exist. The Martinov interview that I posted on our road group, right? There's something that Andre says that is very profound. If you listen to it, it's extremely profound. And he goes into it's systematic. And countries work in a very systematized way. And when you get to the nitty-gritty, the nooks and crannies of this whole entire thing, it starts with culture, education, and emphasis on what's really important in terms of education. We have to re-embrace the hard sciences. And we need to get rid of climate change, all of the bullshit, which are fetters, which are detrimental fetters to human development, technologically speaking.
What do you think of your sort of random genius in the 90s who made a car in his garage that ran off water and then they killed him?
Well, yeah, those people exist. The thing is, again, take that random genius. How do you scale it up?
Well, I mean, all you have to do if he could do it in his garage, right, then the tech is going to be available, right, in the country. Mm-hmm. So, it seems to me that, look, that's why I say 20 years. That's why I say it's going to take that long. We still, in the U.S., we have the university system that still the rest of the world has been sending its people to our universities. Like we're not starting from nothing like some other countries have. So I think that over a 20-year period, all we would have to do is ramp up R&D.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I have confidence that, and I know that we like to be hard on our military here, and for good reason. Our military's got major problems, but I'm pretty sure that military tech is they got some pretty high level stuff in there. And a lot of our technological change over the years has come from tactical to practical, as that one show is called. So I get the feeling that we probably have within our country.
That's actually a misnomer. Tactical to practical, right? And I'll tell you why. That was a propaganda type scheme to justify military and defense spending, thinking that we got some benefit from military advancements in military technology. And in reality, we don't. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. A good buddy of mine was a Black Hawk pilot. He flew Pavlos, right, which are basically, he was a Night Stalker. And what Night Stalkers do is they drop off special ops teams and they pick them up in some of the most dangerous areas in the world. And the UH-60 Black Hawk that he flies, the Pavlo edition, You would consider that to be the most advanced helicopter on God's green earth. Bro, there is stuff I can go to Best Buy and buy Garmin navigation units that are far superior to the INS systems that are used in the UH-60 Blackhawk Pavlos. He even goes, yeah, dude, you can go to Garmin. You can go get a Garmin that's even better than the nav systems we're using on Blackhawks. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is the type of thing. It's like what Tactical and Practical is doing. It's thinking, making Americans think, oh, we spend on we have this advanced military tech. We got Area 51 and there's TR-3Bs and all the. It's all bullshit, dude. It's all bullshit, right? Because at the end of the day, what military spending has told us and has shown us economically in real historical studies, time and time again, is that military spending is wasteful. And for every military technology and industry you create, you are gutting several other more valuable civilian projects in the process.
Yeah, it's like the guy building a water car in his garage wasn't in the military.
No, I know, but again, we're not talking about the water guy in the garage, right?
I'm talking about all options.
Are there random geniuses out there? Absolutely. Is whatever technology could stick and whatever we can build to scale, that's what's going to make the biggest difference for all of us.
So I'll put it this way. I got two guys on my street that are old heads, right? And what they do is they just they're just working on crap in their garages all day long. You know, you got gearheads left over in this country, and there's younger guys than the old heads that do have these abilities. Like, you know, I think that if, like you said, if we were to get rid of the Davos crowd and embrace ingenuity, embrace the kind of values we had maybe 60 or 70 years ago when we were pretty much, stealing from the rest of the world financially. I think that we could make it back, but I think it's going to take a couple of decades. I think it's going to take a long time to retool.
Yeah, and we can't do it organically within ourselves. We need help. That's the whole point.
I think that we could do it, but it would take longer.
Nah, if we try, it'd be like a man after the what is it called? The great cataclysm, right? That caused humanity to lose its technological history. It's like a caveman trying to retool and try to rediscover technology that was once lost, right? You just can't do it organically. You could try organically, but without outside help, it's going to take you. I don't know how many centuries it will take you.
I don't know. I mean, that's now you
can't do it without outside help, man. Can't do it without outside help.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting into what do you call it? Some pretty deep hypotheticals. And this is making an assumption that we don't have any tech hidden, deep storage tech.
We have deep storage tech like we have deep storage gold, cowboy.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see about it. I get the feeling, though, like I said, there's still enough wealth sloshing around this country. Like the rest of the world still lives under the illusion that, oh, no, go to the U.S. is where everything is. Like,
not anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people who feel that way. Yeah. I know, I'm not saying it's
a lot of deluded people in the third world that feel that way. They're coming.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
they're coming in from the southern border. You're not having engineers, dude. There was a time in India and in China, right, where if you were an engineer or if you were a scientist, you immediately tried to go look for a position in the United States, and it was a brain drain. That brain drain stopped. Now the young Indian guys that I know of, right? Again, being connected to the community, they're like, hey, we're going to Dubai, or we're going to stay in India, make it India better, right? Or the Chinese, forget about it. They're doing more advanced work over there that'll blow our minds away in terms of what's going on over there. The point is, it's like, dude, once we lose it, this is a systemic thing, man. And once you're this systemically broken, the only way out of it is the only way out of it is through is help. We can retool some industries, I'm sure, but other industries need help from the outside in order to do it.
Well, I mean,
this is what Matthew Ehret always says. America's a house on fire, and Russia and China is the water that can put it out.
So when the U.S. first industrialized, like 100 whatever years ago, where did that outside help come from? I'm not talking about stealing people from. What's that?
You can't compare that. I'll tell you why. Because back then, during the Industrial Revolution, what was the biggest industry? Right? It was energy. It was coal. It was metallurgy. Right? And then the manufacturing that stemmed from very cheap flow of hydrocarbons. Right? That was the Industrial Revolution back then. and things where we're not talking about that. I'm not talking again. That was used to do what? Build bricks and mortar, and then you had an industry of clothing and making leather goods and toothbrushes and this, that, and the other part, and all the other petrochemical products that came out of that. I'm not talking about that, dude. I'm talking about 21st and 22nd century high tech, bleeding edge manufacturing, which we cannot do in this country. I'm not saying that Timberland can't manufacture boots here in the United States. That's not the issue here. The issue is, can we make 3 nanometer chips? The answer is no. Can we ever make 3 nanometer chips organically on our own without outside help? The answer is never. That's what I'm saying.
I'd say the answer is not as soon.
No, and I'll tell you another thing we don't have here. Being somebody who worked in strategic metals, look at cobalt, look at vanadium, look at uranium, look at all the stuff that's out there, right? These metals need a supply chain in order to work. We don't have supply chains for those types of metals and those types of things that we need to get ourselves up into the high-tech bleeding edge of manufacturing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just discovered a bunch of, or not discovered, I bet you they've known about it for a long time. But, there's been maps out of, like lithium deposits in the U.S. I mean, we've just been buying our metals from other places. Obviously, it'd take ramp up time to pull those out of the ground. It'd take ramp up time to create the supply chain.
Yeah, and we can't do it alone. We have to look to people who have been doing it, who have better extraction technologies, mining capacity, and mining technology that we don't possess.
I would prefer,
because that mining equipment we don't make. Do you see how this works?
Well, I'm just telling you, I would prefer to have the outside help. But after a century, and we're still on YouTube, by the way, we haven't even flipped over to the private because this has become a fun discussion for everybody to hear. I think we just keep it on YouTube for a moment here. But what I would prefer would be cooperation with around the world. But with what the U.S. and friends with the UK has done around the world in the last 100 years, who's going to want to help us?
That's exactly the thing. Who would want to help us? There's like the last time we gave these chimpanzees fire, they damn near burned the entire jungle to the ground. That's how the world looks at us, man. We're just a bunch of fucking wild chimpanzees, bro. Right? And they're like, why do we want to give these chimps fire? There's something about these chimps. These assholes will try to burn the, that's the whole thing. So we got to show the people that, hey, you know what? You could trust our word, which is a hard thing to do because
it takes time.
It's like what John Mearsheimer said recently. There's not a country in the world that should trust the Americans. That's John Mearsheimer. Well, incredible brain trust in the United States, a geostrategic thinker par excellence. Mearsheimer's out there, one of the most respected individuals in the United States, saying, not a country in the world should trust the Americans. Why? Because we're agreement non-capable.
Well, yeah, that's been said by a lot of leaders. And, and this is not something that is a conspiracy theory. We can look back on agreements that we have made and broken. That's not this is not some kind of a wild thing to say, but that's a lot due to who we have in charge running this place. And that's a lot due to the influence that we have coming from basically, you could point at Davos. I think I think it's a little more complex than that, but we just call it Davos. If we could get rid of that influence, right? If we could make that influence depowered, I think that's our first shot. I just don't know, man. I mean, do you think the nerds are going back in the box?
What, the Davos crowd?
Yeah.
The nerds they're gonna be in an old cardboard box, and there they shall play and fantasize about their world and jerk off to it. And that's the nerds. They have no relevancy anymore in the real world. The real world's moving onwards. And the question for America is, are we going to be a part of it? Because this is what's not being told this is what nobody's telling these American leaders. Because these American leaders have all drank the Kool-Aid of, we're the greatest economy in the world. We're the most powerful country in the world. What will the world be without America? Oh, my God. And that's not reality. Reality is the world's going to do great without America. That's the reality. The question that nobody, right? Guys like myself would be telling these idiots, right? Guys like Martinov and McGregor, these guys who should be telling the leadership of this country, listen, fucktards, we do not have a way forward. We do not have and enough educational base of talented minds that are going to pull us out of the gutter that we're about to fall into. We need to make nice with the Russians, with the Chinese, with every other country in the world. We need to, as our founding father said, George Washington said, seek trade with all nations and alliances with none. That's what we need to do. That's what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are following the 1776 model, right? So we need to be part of this new modular global economic system that's being built up in the multipolar world. We need to leave the shackles of the fucking British who screwed us over because we believe their think tanks and their brainiacs are the ones who brainwashed us into following their model of foreign policy and economy and all this other stuff. We need to leave that. But nobody's telling them this because none of the people that are surrounding American leadership are educated. We're a country, believe me when I say this, we're a country run by midwits and halfwits. Midwits and halfwits. And halfwit's a total idiot, which you see in bureaucracy. A midwit is smart enough to get a law degree and probably get through medical school. That's a midwit, okay? Midwit's smart, but he's a dumb idiot at the end of the day. Why? Because he's severely miseducated or uneducated in things that really matter.
Well, I'd say set aside the debate, right? Can U.S. do it alone? Can they not do it alone? I'd say they could. It just takes longer. But let's say, let's ask the question: what is the rest of the world going to do without the U.S.? I can tell you what they're going to do. It's what they're already doing.
Correct.
It's already happening. There's no anybody who asks the question of what's the rest of the world going to do without the U.S. Just look to China. It's what they're doing.
Yep.
It's where it's going. And again, in what's probably going to happen over here, I would prefer to be working with other countries. That's for sure. At the same time, I do believe if we were completely isolated, we would make it. It would just take time. That might be where our opinions differ. But what we don't have here is we don't even make the tools.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
Right.
We don't make the tools. We don't have the tools to make the tools. So you're talking about where basically our entire, now I think we have the knowledge base, and it would take the education of a generation, and it would take a complete, as you said, a change of the value system. Like, okay, here's an example. Look at Chinese TikTok. The most popular TikTok videos in China are like kids doing science experiments at school.
Yeah.
Right. What are and that's, dude, Asian culture has been about education for ever since I was a kid. And that's many decades ago. So, it's not a new thing that the Asian culture is, and quite frankly, the Indian culture is about education. Even the European culture was about education. You had some real smart kids coming out of Europe, right? Now I think the West has lost that. But look at the TikTok videos coming from the US. Girls dancing, thirst traps. And a lot of them are guys doing pranks like dumping feces on somebody in the middle of mass transportation for the clicks. I mean, it's we turn into monkeys. We're throwing poo. Like,
yeah, they're like, oh, China is stealing our data from TikTok, right? Meanwhile, here's the data. Here, let me show you the data. Here's the data. Look, bring up screen share. Look, this is the data.
Oh, this is that. Oh, that was fake, by the way.
Of course, it's fake.
Yeah,
but this is what people make.
This might get us banned. Don't take it off.
Yeah. So that it's totally fake. But it's exactly what people. This is what we do. What the algorithm only reflects and promotes what the current culture is. Don't get mad at the algorithm. It's just a mirror. It's just a mirror.
Oh, facts. Like the algorithm is going to quench the thirst of the viewer, and the thirst of the viewer is determined by
degeneracy.
Basically, it's the education system is where it starts.
Yeah,
and that really is the first. Dude, our country, when I was a kid, like they were pushing kids into science because I was very good at science as a kid.
Same. Everybody was all about. Our generation grew up on with an emphasis on STEM.
Yeah, and we lost that as soon as they started to give trophies out for no reason. That was like the beginning of the end. Now you have actually two generations, right? Because we're the end of Gen X. So you got the millennials and now Gen Z who are just screwed from that standpoint, right? So it would take the evisceration, and which Trump wants to do, the the dissolution of the Department of Education so that the states can compete against each other. But I think we have the knowledge base to reindustrialize. I think it's just going to take a generation before we even have the kind of like workforce with the kind of knowledge that it would take to really do it. I think we have some leftover people who would be able to keep what we do have alive for that time. And what we do have is, compared to China, is pitiful, really. But yeah, I think it's 20 years of what we talked about last Thursday in the private room, and that's pretty scary if you think about it. Like, there will be those of us who are able to like profit off of that because we're in markets and we trade, and that's really what this channel is all about. But look, when you're trading, you need to have a picture. You need to have a vision of the greater picture if you want to know which way the wind's blowing. And which way the wind's blowing as you're trading, we talk about that. It's actually more the gorilla's specialty than mine. I look at the charts and I'm a technical analyst is what I do, right? So I take a look at how to build algorithms, how to trade, how to extract money from the market, which is what these shows are generally about. But given that today is the very last of our 30-minute live labs to the public, we're doing an extravaganza so that people can get a taste of what the gorilla is talking about and what V knows just from the people he talks to. I mean, V, give us not without saying anything that you cannot say, what level of people are you dealing with in your international deals that you do? Like, what level of people? Because we want people to understand the knowledge base that you are talking about when you say the US can't retool on its own. When you say this is happening, that's happening, we want the crowd to know why you know these things and the kind of caliber of person from which you're getting this information.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, working in strategic metals is where I cut my teeth, and that really gave the foundation for me to understand how the very rudiments of manufacturing works, because you need these minerals and metals in order to make anything, anything, you name it, from gallium to that lights up your LCD screens on your phones and televisions, to rhenium, which helps their jet engines fly, and cobalt, which is vital for your EVs and your electronic technology, industry. I learned all this stuff. So I learned also the supply chains. Why? Because I was in charge of not only brokering these metals, but also in charge of tracking them logistically when it came out of a specific mine in Africa, when then it was refined in Europe, and then how it was sold and distributed globally. So that's how I cut my teeth. And then later on, as I started working in precious metals and understanding how global banking works on a grand tier level, you start encountering and start making friends with clientele who are in very high positions of power, people that are connected to presidents and prime ministers, and people that are connected to other captains of industry, and you understand the brain trust here, and that's what gets my experience. That's why it's like, I could tell you where things are going before it happens, is because I have great intel to work with, economically speaking, and that's what that's the kind of expertise that I bring here to Algo Factory. And so with myself and Cowboy, it's a 1-2 punch. It's a 1-2 punch. You not only learn how to trade and not only learn how to build algorithms that trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you also learn where the world is, economically speaking, where it's headed. And you're going to get the real deal. You're not going to get this candy-coated narrative bullshit. And you're not going to get conspiratard nonsense either. You're going to get real, actionable intel, and that's what we bring, man.
So, like, talking about what's going on around the world, right? Talking about, like, when we trade, and the at least I know what the gorilla does. I know what I do. And we have a combination of like long-term holds, and we have a combination, and then we kind of buy and sell things, right? So we will say we'll hold, maybe precious metals or Bitcoin or things like that, because we have an idea of what's probably going to happen. And then we also will go in and out of trades either within like a day or two or a week or two or a month or two. And we use that money and take it and put it back into things like gold or Bitcoin, things that we think are going to help us in the long run. And, the US is going to go through some stuff. And V and I are of the opinion that perhaps the US may be not the place to be when everything rotates. And things are going to rotate. They're continuing to rotate faster and faster. And we talk about this, but just to kind of make it simple, V, what are the top 3 cities where you would live during this rotation, and while the US is kind of going back to its roots, if it ever does make it there? Where would you live?
Top 3 cities in the United States?
Yeah. No. The world. The top 3 countries.
Oh, man. I mean, if you get out to Japan, go to Japan. I love UAE. It's a great place. If you can get over your prejudices, I would recommend checking out China. Malaysia is also great. El Salvador is very, very extremely promising. Argentina is turning a corner like you would not believe how fast Argentina is coming up. I mean, they squashed inflation from 279% down to 13% in like the last few months, thanks to Milei.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Thanks to what? How did it happen?
Milei, he just started cutting the government and cutting budgets, and he just dropped inflation like a stone. First time ever, Argentina had a budget surplus of $12 million at the end of the month. It was incredible. They never had that. Man. I know. This is what I'm saying. It takes somebody with balls to go in and take a hatchet to these MFers, because there's like 10 million government jobs. Nobody knows what these assholes do. Nobody knows what they do. You know.
Now, there's a lot of people who have some ideas about like Dubai. We talked about this the other day. Mm-hmm. I've heard things from people saying that, you know, you don't want to have daughters there.
That's
things
bullshit,
like that.
Dude. It's fucking bullshit. I got people that live there who are Westerners and non-Emiratis that live there, that are friends that I do business with, that have been there for the last 15, 20 years. Dude, Dubai is the safest place in the world. It's the place you want if you have daughters, that's the place to raise your daughters. They say for
these
sons,
guys are they raising families there?
Yeah, dude, they got like 3-4 daughters, bro. Their kids go to school. It's the best place for a girl. Is Dubai, dude? Oh my god, whoever told you that's a fucking idiot, man. Oh my god,
it's like just someone who claimed to live there. I don't know. Maybe they're lying.
They're fucking lying. They're a moron. They haven't lived there long enough, or whatnot. It's like. Dude, the laws they have for women, it's unbelievable. It's beyond even what they have in the United States, right? But it's also very fair. It's also very extremely safe, right? That's why they say it's a great place to raise a daughter. It's not a great place to raise a boy. And I asked why. It's like, it's too damn safe. Boys need a little bit of danger, which that could be that could be fixed. You know, that could be a matter of opinion. I think it's a great place to raise children, period, right? Because kids this way, kids have no distraction, right? And so, kids have no distraction. They can focus on their studies. They can focus on what they want to do in life. And
if you want your kid to have danger, put him in martial arts.
Yeah, put him in martial arts, man. That's all you do. You want your son to have some danger. And martial art. Look, MMA is big out there because you have you have the ADCC, the Abu Dhabi Combat Conference. The ADCC is the biggest organization for mixed martial arts, specifically, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and grappling and all that other stuff. And ADCC is huge, and that's Abu Dhabi. That's right next door to Dubai, so mixed martial arts is huge there. Gyms are huge there. Gyms are phenomenal. Next level gyms that are in Dubai. Dude, just go. If you can go to, and everybody speaks English. It's an amazing place. You go to UAE, you'll never want to leave. The only downside is you want to get the hell out of there by May, because it's going to get hot as hell. From May to like August, you don't want to be there. Most people leave. Dubai is pretty empty May through like end of August, early September. It's pretty empty.
So is that like your number one place?
UAE is my number one place. Why? Because there's no culture shock. The only shock that you're going to have is how clean the place is, and the infrastructure will blow your mind away. Everybody speaks English, so there's no curve. Food is amazing. Oh my god, the food is amazing. And yeah.
Where would you live in the summer when Dubai heats up?
Southern Portugal is a great place, man. Go to Southern Portugal is a wonderful place to hang out. Go live in Dubai 10 months out of 9 months out of the year, and then the rest of the months go hang out in Southern Portugal. Southern Portugal is Malibu, baby. It's Malibu. That's what it is. You want to know what Malibu is like in Europe? Go to Southern Portugal.
Malibu. It seems like that'd be a pretty hot place, though.
Where?
Temperature hot. Southern Portugal is in the Mediterranean, isn't it?
Yeah, but this one's it is Mediterranean, but it is cool. It is like 70 degrees all year round. It's perfect.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Good. All right, cool. So we took this a little longer than we usually do, but again, this is the last public live lab that's going to be longer than 10 minutes. And some of the things that you're hearing in this show are coming from V, who basically just does business around the world. And so when you're trading, there's two, like we talked about, we have long-term holds, and I actually have in Algo Factory, I have shared the particular cryptocurrencies that I'll be holding for the next, like, say 8 to 12 months, just depends on how long the bull market goes. There's always that chance that markets fall and the bull market doesn't do what it usually does, and that's just your risk that you take when you're trading. But chances are the bull market will do what it usually does. And so I do have my list, and I share that list every so often, and of course upon request. So if you're new to Algo Factory, you can ask me for it and I'll provide it. Again, it's not investment advice, certainly. We don't do that, but just say what I'm doing, and then you can use that as part of your research data. And then the rest of the time in Algo Factory, what we do is usually 4 days a week, at least, we go through like the charts, we take a look at some of the trades that we're doing. And then at least 1 day a week on Thursday, usually it's like either 3 Thursdays a month or maybe like 5 Thursdays or maybe like an extra day. It just depends on when V gets his data. We start to go into these deeper stuff from what's going on around the world, because you have to understand when you're trading, you got to know how to survive. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you live in a bad place, that money can be taken from you. So what do you say, V? You want to head over to private?
Yeah, let's head over to private and
Okay,
take it from there. Yeah.
Let me roll that out here. Right. Oh, we got, so Rikuku is talking in the this is the Algrave.
Madeira in Mexico is a wonderful, wonderful place. Rated the safest place in all of Mexico. It's beautiful. Mexico's going to do great, man.
I've got roots in the Azores. My mom's side is that's where my Portuguese blood came from, but they're actually, I think they're Flemish, and they were Flemish who settled in the Azores. So that's the Azores are supposed to be really nice archipelago. All right, good. Gorilla Sir, can you get us out of here?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Join us live lab. Scan the QR code. Hit the link in the description box. Join us or die. AlgoFactory.tech.
Join us or die.